Go. I'm an idiot.
On 1490 WGCH.
Welcome back to the Clubhouse for the last Wednesday in April. Mark Jeffers, it's crazy.
Well, by the way, I got to mention this. In May, I'm celebrating an anniversary, so Sarah wanted me to plug that early so we can start sending the gifts to her.
How many years, Mark?
Get that squared away.
I can't count that high.
Well, God bless that woman. That's all I have to say.
I know. All right, before we get into our guests, I want to do a quick plug for our friends at Grand Prix New York, where we used to do the show out of live. They are continuing their donations to Feeding Westchester. 50% of all gift card sales from now until tomorrow will be given to Feeding Westchester, which mission is to end hunger in Westchester County with more than 300 partners. They source and distribute food and other resources to towns across Westchester, helping to ensure that none of our neighbors are hungry. So a big applause for them.
Good job, guys.
Great job.
Who are you starting with?
Well, and by the way, I got to tell you, I know it's around radio, but this Zoom thing is really cool because actually we're seeing all the, I'm like, I know, I don't think I've ever seen Hanratty's face. Well, maybe on TV or something, but anyways, it's my real great pleasure to introduce the two-time Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the national champion with Notre Dame and an all-around good guy. Welcome back to the Clubhouse to Terry Hanratty. Terry, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Nice to be here.
So first of all, before we get into the whole sports thing, how are you? And tell our audience, you've been through this terrible COVID. Tell a little bit about your story, because we're very interested and we're hoping that you look good on Zoom. And our radio audience would love to know how you're doing.
Well, I went through the full blown. I had the double pneumonia with the corona. I was in the hospital for about 6 days. It's a really good diet. I don't recommend it to anybody. A lot of people in the hospital. But no, it was interesting because I had a temperature of a little over 103 at one point. My oxygen level fell below like around 85, 84, 85. It's normally about 95, 96. So they put me in the hospital, and I was in Norwalk Hospital, and those people were absolutely great. But if you're going to be in a hospital, that's where to be. That's the kind of care you'd want. But it was something that you can't take lightly. I thought I was pretty good at, when I go to the grocery store, I'd take my own bag with me, and I try to stay away from people and whatnot. And I came down, I caught it. How I caught it, I don't know. I could probably, it could be a handle on a doorknob somewhere that you caught it. But I went through, and in fact, just today I got the full blown clear. I no longer have any of the virus in me. I can, my antibodies are positive, which is good because it means I can become a donor. And so now I have to apply for, I guess you got to sign papers or whatever to be a donor. So that's the process that I started today. So that's,
wow.
We'll hopefully be able to, through this nastiness, you can be able to help somebody, which would be really cool.
Terry, I will just say, when I heard this, I was very concerned. And then when I read the article just recently in the Indianapolis Star that your daughter got you to quit smoking 3 years ago, I think that may have been a big part of your recovery.
Well, there was definitely, had I still been smoking, there's no way that my lungs could have fought off all that pneumonia and coronavirus. There's no way. So that was the deciding factor in all this.
Good. Good.
So, you know what? Big round of applause here. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Huh? I like that. All right, so Terry, did you get a chance to watch the NFL draft this past weekend and the past couple of days?
I did watch it. We started out, because you've been watching so many 20-year-old golf, 20-year-old basketball, and it got really, now all of a sudden you have a live semi-sports deal. And then I started listening, and there's so much time between each pick. I guess maybe the older you get, the more time it seems like, and it's, but I watched about the first 15 or so picks, and that's all I could do. But then I watched a little bit the next day, and so I didn't spend a lot of time because I didn't know a lot of the kids that were being, in the draft. I saw where the Notre Dame kids went, and that's about all I want.
Well, speaking of Notre Dame, then because I thought, and I just want to get your feel of how they did the show. I thought on the technical side, as a viewer, I thought it was kind of cool. But before we go to that, can you tell us a little bit about what you heard or what you think is going on with Notre Dame, or that you can tell us?
You mean as far as the season, or as
far as coming up this fall, if there's going to be a fall, what they're doing in preparation, because we don't know anything right now. But
there's not a lot they can do in preparation. I think that they were geared to have a pretty good team. Everybody was basically back. The whole offensive line was back, and Book is back, and there's a lot of good stuff there. But with this virus coming in, it's going to throw a whole monkey wrench into all sports. Yeah. And I think college football is going to pay the biggest price, because they are college kids, and most athletic directors have said if the student body's not back, our football players won't be back. So the NFL is a different thing. I think they can get going. I think baseball can get going. Basketball scares me a little bit, because these kids are banging each other, and they're all sweating, and the sweat's flying everywhere, and the officials are there. And I think what we're going to see is, I don't think any sport's going to have any fans in it. It's going to be interesting to see with no fans. And but I think it's something that's totally necessary, because you don't want this virus to come back. I think in the next month or two, we're going to have a real good handle on where we stand with this thing. And because every day you hear, different things and different rumors about, a drug here, a drug there, that's something that can help you. They don't have a vaccine yet, but, that's not for several months. But I think they can get something out there that could help people. And it's going to be difficult, because if you have college students, you can't have anything go wrong with a college kid. Your pros are different, because they're getting paid for what they do. But college kids are, they're 19, 20 years old. You can't force them to go out there and play. I mean, that's going to be against, everything that we try to teach. And I think it's going to be, I think that it's going to be a real big question mark for these coaches and athletic directors, how, and presidents of universities, of how we're going to get this done.
Terry, quick question. This is Dave. So I don't think Mark lives in some place in North Bedford Hills or something. So, for us New Canaan guys, we have to, I'll be the first to mention it. The New Canaan connection here, obviously, with Zach and you and myself and Lou. But so New Canaan has sent the quarterback to Notre Dame, Drew Pine. And I'm just wondering, what your thoughts are, or, with Drew, as I'm sure you saw him play a lot.
Well, I think he's well coached. There's no doubt there that he's had, coaching from a very early age. I think it's really good. And, Book is obviously the quarterback. Phil Dracovic transferred to Boston College, so that opens up a spot there. I don't know much about the backup. I've seen him play sporadically in a couple of different games. Yeah. But, Pine has some, he has – your only thing is, when you get a contact sport, you're a couple injuries away from getting in the huddle. So, you've got to totally engross yourself into the offense and learn that, A to Z. And you've just got to stay prepared, because you don't know when it's going to happen. It could happen in the first day. You don't know.
Do you think they'll redshirt him?
I think they probably want to.
Yeah.
Because most freshmen, they'd like to redshirt. No matter unless someone's going to come in and just be a impact player right out of the bat, and that's usually a defensive player. It's the offense takes a defense more headhunters. Offense takes a little more skill. It's always been that way. So most of the guys get the offensive line are big at getting redshirted, and unless you're running back, you don't need a quarterback right now, because you got a very good one, and you got a good backup. So that would be logical.
All right, so I have a question I'm going to ask the other gentleman as we progress in the show. But Terry, going back to, whether it's Notre Dame or Pittsburgh, as a player, what would you like, or maybe Rob, do we need to go to a commercial?
Yeah, let's grab a commercial. We'll come right back, and we'll continue with Terry Hanratty. We're going to get Zack Allen, Lou Marinelli involved as well, as we continue on the Clubhouse for this last Wednesday in the month of April 1490 AM, 105.5 FM, and WGCH.com anywhere as the Clubhouse returns in just a moment.
Okay, when we come back, I'll finish off my Terry question, which is I can't tell him not to, it's really live.
It surprised me.
I know. And then, David, I'm going to toss it back to you, and you can introduce Coach, and we'll talk to Coach, and then we'll talk to Zach, and everybody can just join in. How's that sound? Does that sound like a plan?
Okay. I like it.
Good.
And I have a little audio to play as well for you guys tonight. A little treat that I found.
Little nugget, little new Canaan nugget.
A little new Canaan nugget.
We're moving into Canaan tomorrow, by the way.
Say again?
I'm moving into Canaan tomorrow.
Oh, no, you're not. Well, you got to apply. We do have some standards.
Hey, there he is. Can Lou hear me?
I can hear you, Terry.
No reaction whatsoever.
Here we go.
I didn't know whether I should talk or not. You look good, though.
Welcome back to the Clubhouse. I'm Rob Adams. Dave Toromeo did not eat Roger Goodell's M&Ms, and Mark Jeffers, I don't think he ate the M&Ms either. I don't think so.
No, but I want to try to get my residency, at least a partial residency. I love Bedford Hills, but Canaan's a lovely town. I've broken bread there with Dave many a time, so I feel like I'm not an outsider. I like New Canaan. But anyway,
do you even have a football team in Bedford Hills? Do they play football in that town?
We do have a football team. Fox Lane is a good team. I mean, it's not New Canaan, but it's a good team. All right, let me finish my quick question to Terry, then we'll bring on the whole gang from New Canaan. We can and talk. But so Terry,
Do I get paid more for being on so much longer than everybody?
Yeah, you know what? You get double the pay you were going to get. So there you have the equation. But, by the way, Zach and Coach are getting 3 times the amount of money you're getting. So that's again.
Oh yeah.
The factorial of 0 is going to be. Anyway, so Terry, my question was: college, professional. You always played in front of fans and great fans. As a player, how do you think that will, if it does go to that, we don't know yet for sure, but as a player, what do you think that's going to be like with no fans?
It's going to be very strange because I played in a very big high school area, and the whole town went to the Friday night lights. Obviously at Notre Dame, the stadium was packed for my sophomore year on. You had a full house. In the pros, my rookie year with Steelers, the Steelers were not good, and we weren't good my rookie year either. 1-13, but you still had about probably 40,000 people there. But now with having no one in the stands, it's going to be just you're not going to have to yell. I'll tell you what. If you're trying to call an audible, take your time because everybody's going to hear you up and down the line. But it's going to be very strange, and I think they better get used to it because that's the way it's going to be. Zach probably has the insight because his team's telling him what to do when you get to practice there.
Yeah, no, they haven't told us a lot yet. It's just been all virtual meetings and stuff, so we're still just waiting. Like this, just today they extended the stay-at-home here in Arizona, so we still have no idea.
Tell me, does anybody call you the nickname that I gave you?
No, no one calls you that. No.
I coached Zach first grade. It was 4-on-4 co-ed basketball. My daughter was the point guard. Zach was obviously our center, and I would tell her, drive down the middle. Then if they stop you, just throw it over the head and have Baby Shaq catch it. So I Baby Shaq. He was taller than everybody. He just grab it, and it was a short basket. He just put it in the basket. It's the most dominating team I've ever coached in my life. I had to work to hold down the score. And Erin says hello, Zach. She's right here. So I dubbed him Baby Shaq, and he had that for a while. But I think when he went to Boston College, he lost it.
Yeah.
Well, that's about all he lost as Terry introduced Zack Allen for us because he had a sensational career there, obviously, and And Mark, I think you wanted me to introduce Lou as well, so I'll do that.
Absolutely.
Lou, man, and how do you introduce a legend? And that's exactly what he is. I know he's too modest to admit that, but I guess the one story I can tell you that would kind of show this is, I've worked in college athletics many years, and I get a call from an old friend of mine, Howie Davis. He used to be a longtime sports information director up at UMass. He was one time one of the top guys in the industry and a good guy. He's like, Dave, I can't get a hold of Lou Marinelli. How do I get a hold of this guy? I said, well, what's going on? Well, we want to induct him into the Springfield College Hall of Fame. So finally I was able to get Lou to connect that to Howie Davis, and he was inducted. But typical of Lou, he was probably like, oh, Hall of Fame, whatever. But Lou Marinelli, going into his 40th season, Lou?
Yeah, next year will be the 40th. Yeah.
And over 300 wins and just a tremendous career. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure being here. But I want to know, before you even go any further, though, don't let Zack Allen kid you. He's really in Nantucket. Look behind him. That's his facial window.
That's $30 Bed Bath & Beyond art right there.
All right, I promised you guys some audio, Mark. I'm going to make good on this one. I'm not going to be allowed back in Greenwich after I play this, though.
All right.
2nd and 17 at the 13-yard line. Cardinals moving from right to left in the white uniforms. Marzullo takes the snap, looking left, now runs to his right. He has all kinds of time, but he's got to get rid of it. He does throw it, and it's intercepted. Zack Allen, touchdown.
Woo!
And what did he do after he scored the touchdown?
Zack Allen will get a flag thrown on him as he goes into the end zone and goes Jimmy Graham.
There you go.
Which means he spiked the ball over the goalpost.
Yes, he did.
He was a tremendous athlete in New Canaan, obviously. And Lou, just so back to you, Lou. Obviously, this is New Canaan. It's a football town. We talk about Friday Night Lights. It's a real thing here, and I think and Zach can speak to that too. But at the end of the day, it's great, and I think the parental support you get is tremendous. Although I do want to ask you a question about that, because I know your friend Rob Murgaard, who said Salos, would answer this one way. What in 40 years of coaching, what's changed or what's become more difficult for you?
I think I think the parents' expectations may be a little bit more than they were. It's unfortunate. A lot of kids, and I blame lacrosse and some other sports that have turned it into some kind of the capitalizing or the I don't know the right word, but making money off of kids to try to say that, well, we're going to get you into college. And then and I think in the last few years we felt that, because it was more about where I can get my son to college rather than where, the New Canaan Rams winning the state championship. And that's been the hardest thing, the expectations. And I think that, if you go back to when they first started high school sports, it was more about teaching kids lessons and, life lessons. And my goal is to make sure that, our kids are better people for playing New Canaan football. Really, that's the goal. And I think the lessons that you learn from playing, the teamwork, the discipline, the commitment, are all things that could get lost if you're doing it for other reasons. But that's been the biggest change that I've seen.
It's kind of the answer I expected, Lou. I mean, because at the end of the day, I think the expectation in New Canaan is state championship, beat Darien, or it's a lost season. And that's really unfair, I think. And I think Zach, can talk to his experience in New Canaan, obviously being groomed to play at a great institution like Boston College, and now obviously in the NFL. But I mean, for me, I think football teaches more than, you can play in the NFL or you can play in college. I mean, and I've seen that, with my son, who lost his senior year to an injury. But I think having played football up to that point helped him kind of be the person that he is today. So that's
really the goal. It's not the Zack Allens are exceptions to the rule. I mean, they're kids that were tremendous athletes and really capitalized on getting a college education. And look at them today. Really a model student, model. I mean, he's a national national scholar athlete that was honored at by the National Football Foundation at down in New York City. Just a tremendous example. But it's those other kids that don't get the scholarships, but they were able to play. And even if they don't ever play again, you just hope that they have learned enough about those important values that are going to help them be successful later on.
For those who don't know, Derry and New Canaan play one of the great rivalries in the country. It goes back to 1928. And Zach, I'll throw this to you. How much does playing Darien every year mean? Is it bigger than a state championship? Bigger than FCAC? What does it mean to play Darien?
Oh, it's definitely a lot more. I mean, those were always the biggest game. I mean, my 2 state championship appearances and wins were against Darien. So, I mean, we were lucky to get them twice a year, which made it even more fun. And it was not just those 2 towns coming together. It's the whole state really coming together. But, yeah, like my junior year, for example, we played the FCAC championship against St. Joe's, who, we always had, they were a good team and everything, but we never really had, any trouble with. We always beat them pretty handedly when I was there. So, like a game like that was not nearly what it was on Thanksgiving or when we played them in the playoffs.
All right, Zach, I have a question for you. It's Mark from Bedford Hills. I know. So I wanted to know, congratulations. It's really an honor to chat with you. And, I wanted to ask you, and then I actually want to ask Lou a similar question is, we were watching the draft this past week, and because of the virus, we were watching, players more at home, seeing the reactions. And I was going to tell our audience a little bit about when they called your name, what was the feeling of being drafted into the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was like the phone. So like every time, you have to turn everyone's phone off because, anytime a phone goes off, it's just the stress is so high. And then, for me, especially, like my range was so wide from where I could go. It's just like every single pick is just like, oh my gosh. And then finally the phone goes off and, you talk to everybody. I really was in shock. Our GM was on the phone. He's like, are you there? Like, what's going on? Like, cause like, I was just so quiet. Like I couldn't believe it. And then, yeah, I mean, it was just, and then I remember having just like the sense of relief, and I just like, just stepped away. I just like broke down and cried because it's just kind of like a culmination of everything. Because it's a big part. It's, I really never thought, I mean, Lou's told the story a million times, that I'd be in that position because I almost gave it up. But I'm just so glad that I stuck with it. And, especially going to a great city like Arizona, Phoenix, to play for the Cardinals.
Hold that thought. We'll take a break. We'll come back right after this with Terry Hanratty, Zack Allen, Lou Marinelli, Dave, Mark, and I back in the Clubhouse.
This is the sound.
All right, got a minute.
Okay, we'll come back, and I may ask a question to Lou, similar to what Zach was going to. So Zach was sort of like he was saying, a story that Lou knows. So maybe we'll go to that, and then wing it.
Very good.
Wing it, huh? That should be the name of the show. Wing it.
Not the name? Good.
The word I was looking for that I didn't. It was the commercialization of high school sports. Yeah. I said
there
capitalization.
You're 100%. That's all right. We'll dub it over.
There you go.
Every Thursday night from 6 to 8 p.m. on 1490 WGCH.
Welcome back to the Clubhouse. Once again, a lot of juggling with a lot of great guests and a lot of fun to do it as we bring you back with another Zoom edition during the middle of this pandemic. And I still think it's just great content, Mark, that for the people that we're having on to, have these conversations. It gives us all something to smile about.
Oh, I agree. And we want to thank, Bob Small and GCH and for keeping us on the air because, my bad jokes are, sometimes make somebody smile or not. And sometimes it makes Dave cry, but that's a different story for another hour. But I want to finish off with Zach. That was a really cool answer you had there. But I wanted to ask Coach Lou. You were alluding to a story about how he would tell that story. So I'd love to have our listeners say, what Coach, when you see a player like Zach get drafted, or another one of your guys that's been on your team get drafted into the NFL or go to college as well, what's the feeling as a coach?
It's so we were when Zach was selected, we were down as a staff in one of the local restaurants, and we were waiting to see when it was going to be, and we were full of excitement with our wives, and then all of a sudden he was selected, and it was, I was a little surprised that he's going so far from home. I was hoping he'd, end up with the Giants or something like that. But
me too.
But I'll tell you, I got a chance to go visit my son and watch a game on Saturday, and then Zach fixed us up with tickets on Sunday, even though that was the week he got hurt and wasn't able to play. But I mean, it's such a thrill to see somebody in there. He talks about the story, and I'm sure he's told the story more than me about when he was a sophomore. But there's always, and his father tells a little bit different. There's 3 different versions of the story, but it doesn't really matter. He stuck it out and played from his sophomore year, started from his sophomore year right through his senior year. Never missed a practice, never missed a game. Played in pain. He did all the things that got him to where he is right now.
And I'll add that Lou's son, John Marinelli, was not only his offensive guru for a long time, but then became the head football coach at Greenwich High School, won a championship there. We won't go into how many times he and his father met on the field. My gosh, that story got overplayed after a while, I'm sure, for Lou and for John. And John is now coaching out at the University of Arizona. So and John is phenomenal, Lou. I had such a great time working with him down in Greenwich.
Yeah, he works very hard at it. And, truth be told, he didn't really want to take the Greenwich job. We had to push him out. But after getting my brains beat in the state championship, I wish I had kept him. Because we didn't have any answers at all that day. I mean, it was bad. But he's done a great job. And we're Zoom meeting with him almost every day now with our staff and everything. He's really been tremendous in helping us out. And he's actually he's given a clinic to all the Connecticut coaches, high school coaches, on Fridays from University of Arizona, and has their staff speaking and everything. It's been really great.
Okay, so let's get back to the New Canaan thing for a second. When I was setting this up with Zach, I texted him and I said, Zach, how strange would it be for you to be lining up against another New Canaan football player in the National Football League? And he just said that would be, I forget the word, just amazing or something. And it is amazing. I mean, you think about New Canaan, Connecticut, now with Lucas Niang drafted in the 3rd round last week to the world champions, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, and Zack Allen. I don't know. I'd have to do the research, and I meant to do it. But I think if you look at towns that have multiple players in the NFL, this has to be a first, I would think, for Connecticut. But I mean, maybe Miami, Florida, they probably have a bunch, right? But at the end of the day, Zach, if that should happen, and maybe someday you line up in the Super Bowl against each other, I mean, how cool would that be?
Well, they got to beat my Steelers first.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I want to hear.
Very good. Okay. I'm just glad you didn't say Patriots, even though the Patriots flag is behind me. That's my wife, because she's the only Patriots fan in this house.
But if you want to add to that, you have to add Curtis Casale, who was an all-state quarterback for us, who now is a catcher for the Cincinnati Reds. And
right.
Don't forget Max Pacioretty, who is still playing. I think he's playing for Vegas now.
Yeah.
Was captain of the Montreal Canadiens. Not too many towns can really say that they have, 2 NFL guys, a Major League Baseball player, and an NHL player.
That's true. That is true.
It's amazing, really.
I don't think we're stepping anybody to the NBA yet, however, but that's
we're working on it. We're working on it.
So I have to ask my question that I asked Terry earlier. I want to ask it to Zach first and then back to the coach. But So Zach, when you're, if the season does move on and we're lucky enough to see some NFL action, as an NFL player, what do you think it's going to be like to play if that is the case in front of no fans? Will it be obviously it'll be strange, but what's your feelings on that?
I think he's muted. Are you muted? Can't hear him.
Oh, can't hear.
No, he's not muted on this end.
Can you hear me or no?
Okay,
Yeah,
no.
we've got
Zach,
you. Go ahead.
Zach found out how much money he was making.
Yeah.
All right, Terry, the check's in the mail.
No, it'd be crazy. I mean, because we our practices during training camp, we have fans there, and they fill out like most of the lower bowl. So that was a big difference. So I mean, I haven't had a game without fans or a practice without fans really in a really long time. But no, I'd definitely be different. But I think honestly, I think it'd be a cool little experience though. Just kind of just the players. It would be kind of like those joint practices you see. I definitely think it'd probably get a lot more chippier. But yeah, no, this is something, unparalleled, and we'll just kind of hopefully, go with the flow with it.
Yeah.
Lou, do you think we're going to have football in the fall? What are you hearing?
I absolutely think I know everybody's kind of waiting to see, but I think we're going to have football. I think we're going to go back to normal. And we're looking forward to it. It's best time of the year.
Absolutely.
And I think, with college football, NFL, and the high school rivalries and stuff, everybody's trying to be very cautious. And, Terry gave me a scare because we heard that he had contracted the virus. And then I called him and he didn't answer me for about 5 days. So I said, oh my God. And Terry's my recruiting coordinator. He goes through the youth and he tells me about all of the upcoming stars and what I have to look forward to. So I was very nervous, but then he finally called me, thank God. So, but I'm very, very optimistic about it and looking forward to it.
Good. Me too.
Yeah, Rob and I were talking about this yesterday on his show, and it's sports is such a fabric of our society, at all levels, youth, high school, college, pro, television. I mean, it's just really strange, and we're saturated. And this is just obviously, hopefully we never see this again. But at the end of the day, after 9/11, it was really baseball and sports, that kind of, because college football and high school football was running at that time. Once we felt, those things going again, then we felt like things were, obviously not going to be the same, but we're moving forward.
Hopefully that's going to happen. Yeah.
I agree.
So
Zach, you didn't really answer my question. So what's it like to have another New Canaan football player in the NFL? Have you talked to Lucas? Have you guys connected?
Yeah, I congratulated Lucas. And I've been in contact with him. It's actually we have the same agent too, so I kind of helped him with that process a little bit. But no, I'm just really happy for him. He obviously deserves it. And I mean, I saw how hard he worked in high school because we go against each other every single day. First thing we always did in practice back then was a 2-minute drill. So it was just, like 6-8 straight pass rushes against each other. So, no, I think it's awesome. And, hopefully, somehow stars align. We face each other, either this year or next year. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And no, definitely I'm really proud of him.
Yeah, we have a youth coach here. I won't say his name, but he'll probably know who it is if he hears this, who kind of takes credit for Lucas's development. And I said to my wife, you can't teach size. 6'6", 350, or you, right? You guys you're big people, right? So I mean that helps.
Yeah, right.
Zach, I'm going to ask you, how are you feeling? Are you looking forward to a season coming up?
Yeah, no, it's been way too long. That's why it was just a freak thing, which is why last year was so different. Because, like Coach said, I've never missed a game at any level my entire career. So missing games last year was definitely different. But luckily, I got cleared. Everything healed up. So I'm just, been working as hard as I can to get back, and hopefully can, when all this settles down, just get back to football as soon as possible.
So you're clear
Hopefully-
to go, Zach? I'm sorry, Rob.
Yeah, I'm
That's
100% ready to go. Yeah.
Hopefully an exciting time with head coach Kingsbury, and looking forward to seeing what the Cardinals can do.
Yeah, definitely. We got a good group, added some great pieces, and bring back some really good guys from last year too. So it's an exciting time to be in Phoenix, and I'm just lucky to be a part of it.
Zach, sorry, Dave. I have to ask him this question because we talk about backdrops. Well, your coach in the draft had quite a nice backdrop, and his video almost as nice as your picture. But I think what do you think about that? That was quite the backdrop.
Yeah, when you've been a college coach and now an NFL head coach, you got some money in the bank to get a nice house like that. No, we're all jealous. We had a team meeting. We were all teasing him about it, but no, he's been awesome, fantastic, and he's really is the hardest worker in the building. It's I try to beat him into the building. You can't. He literally lives there. So we're lucky to have him on our side, and I'm just thankful that he took a chance on me and drafted me.
So he doesn't really need that house. We can go out there and party, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Zach,
On location.
Zach, I'm wondering if you could give me your favorite high school memory and then your favorite college memory. And obviously you're building your NFL resume now, but those two things would be interesting to me.
Yeah, I think in high school definitely was winning that second state championship. Losing to that team in overtime during the Turkey Bowl, and then that game we were down. It was a close game, so that was all, and kind of like the culmination of all youth football, high school football, the whole deal. Because my class, we all played together since we were third, fourth grade, so that was a blast. And then in college, I think my senior year. We had a really special team, and we kind of underproduced towards the back end, but in the middle of the season, beating Miami was a great win. Friday night national TV, because that win helped us get onto College Game Day when we were playing for an ACC or berth in the ACC championship versus Clemson. And then the year before, we beat Florida State 35-3, which I think was the biggest beating of Florida State in our school history. I might be wrong though. So, that was a lot of fun. We won a bowl game, which hadn't been done in 9-10 years. So, we're working our way to, being as historic as Mr. Hanratty's Notre Dame, but we're getting there, stealing quarterbacks from there. So, but
I'll tell you, you've got yourself a great kid. I know Phil very well, Jakovic.
Yeah.
I know his hometown is right around mine.
Oh, okay. Very
and
cool.
I saw him, he's a great
We will take a break.
player.
We'll be right back.
The first person.
Go ahead, Terry. You can keep going.
No, we'll come back with that. That's
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's going to be an interesting time up BC. It'll be the first time I can actually root for BC.
Yeah.
When Zach was there, and then they played my Irish, then I had to go to the Irish.
Yeah, we played him twice. No, I actually met him briefly. He was really nice. I mean, it was just quick. Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Type of deal.
Great athlete.
Yeah, he was as tall as I was. Yeah, he's like 6'4", 6'5".
He's
Zach, your junior year, that's when you got hurt against Notre Dame, wasn't it? You hurt your shoulder?
Yeah, my shoulder popped out.
Yeah, I remember seeing the hit. That's the first time I could ever remember you being hurt like that.
I didn't miss any time though, so that was Torterol's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
You can't mention that on the show though.
Yeah, I know. Somebody's gonna get me.
that out.
WGCH.
Love the storytelling, and there's so much going on with Terry Hanratty, Zack Allen, and Lou Marinelli, along with Dave Toromio, Mark Jeffers, Bob Small in the studio. I'm Rob Adams. A great show tonight, and I haven't even had a chance to talk a lot with Terry, and I'm a huge Steelers fan, having grown up watching the Steelers, and so great to have all these guys here. Terry, you were in the middle of telling a story when we had to go to break. Why don't you carry on?
No, just telling Zach that I think they got a great quarterback in Phil Dracovic. He's from around my hometown, and I was happy to see he went to Notre Dame. I don't think he got a real fair shake there. and I was hoping that he'd land in a good spot. And I think BC is perfect for him because they got a new coaching staff, so no one's going to be ahead of him as far as knowing the system. And Phil's a bright kid. I mean, he averaged 19 points for 2 straight years in basketball. I mean, he's a great athlete. He can do it all. And what happened at Notre Dame, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, if you see, he has a different delivery than most quarterbacks. But then I said, you ever watch Dan Marino throw the ball? Everybody looked at his arm and said, oh, man, that's a horrible motion he has. Then, 50,000 yards later in the NFL, he's in the Hall of Fame. So, but Phil's a great kid, and I think he's going to fit in wonderful at BC. I know they're trying to get him to whether he's going to be eligible to play this year. We're assuming their season.
Right.
Yeah,
So that still has to be cleared. I hope he gets cleared because I think his days at BC is going to be really good.
I have a quick question for Terry, and since Rob brought up his beloved Steelers. Terry, the Immaculate Reception. Now, I mean, I don't even know Zach. He's probably too young to remember this. But back then, that was, I think it was a playoff game against Oakland.
Oh, yeah, playoff.
And right,
AFC Championship, I think.
Right, and it was, at the time, it was illegal for 2 offensive players to tip the ball. And now it's legal. But then if an offensive player touched the ball, you couldn't catch it if you're an offensive receiver. So obviously,
right.
So my question is, who tipped the ball? Was it tipped by the offensive player?
If you look at it, Fuqua, it was, I think it was 4th down and 20 or something like that.
Yeah.
Terry dropped back and he scrambled around. Saw Frenchie Fuqua downfield, threw the ball. Jack Tatum came up. And if Frenchie is going across the field and hits the ball's going to go that way. But the thing came bounding back straight towards Franco, who caught the ball about 3 inches off the ground, and the rest is history. We got the check and we got the ring. What was there to say?
Party line, okay.
Well, there was always a belief, Terry, that the referees went over and got on the phone, and nobody ever knows what that phone call was about. Did you ever find out?
Well, you can't get on the phone because there was no replay back then.
Right.
So why were you on the phone? Were you ordering dinner, or what was it? they were probably trying to say, how the hell are we going to get out of here?
That's what I thought.
That's probably true.
The stands, it was a packed house.
Yeah.
And the stands are on the field now. All the fans.
Yep.
So we were holding them back from the field. So you had to, if they would have said no catch, I don't know what would have happened because they would have got ugly.
But one of my favorite stories about that was, and we've had Jim Rooney on the show actually about a month or so ago, and I think it was I'm pretty sure it was his dad who was leaving. He was in an elevator and he heard the crowd erupt.
That's right.
The game was over, right? Is that right?
When that happened, he was on Art Sr., who bought the franchise, was coming down on the elevator when that happened. And he was going, and the one thing about the old man, everybody called him that, the old man, the chief, is that when he came in the locker room, you had no clue whether you won or lost the game. He was the same the whole time. Just a great individual. And he came down, and all of a sudden the players are going crazy, and he's wondering what's going on. And they said, Coach or Chief, we won the game. We won the game. And, then it had to be explained to him what happened.
Nice.
Oh, man. All right, so did you guys, Coach, did you watch what? I want to both you and Zach. I asked Terry this already, but I'm just curious as to the NFL draft. I'm a Giants fan. Sorry for those Pittsburgh and Arizona people out there. But what did you think about the whole ESPN NFL network coverage? I thought it was done quite well. What were your thoughts?
I liked it. I mean, I thought it was very, very well done. And they're able to show clips of the guys, their highlight films, so to speak. But I thought it was done very well. I mean, it was exciting. Of course, we had a guy in the draft, so we were waiting to see what when he was going to go. But I thought it was really well done.
Zach, what did you think on the technical side?
Yeah, I think it went all smooth. I was just like watching the normal draft instead of seeing them go up there. They're just in their houses. So, no, they did a really good job. No complaints.
Lou, I have to put you on the spot. So, all the state championships, all the wins. As anybody who played, and there are games that I can remember from high school that stick out in my mind. What's the one that you really think about the most? That, maybe you cherish a little bit more than some of the others. Not that they didn't mean as much.
Which game?
A game or a champion or a state champion team.
There's been a lot of clunkers too. I can tell you more about those than I can about the. I would have to say the 1 year that we were down to Darien going into halftime, and I think we were down 20-7, and it was in the state championship. I was up at West Haven, and then to come back and to beat them 21-20 certainly was because at halftime I thought we were dead. When you're talking to the team and you're looking in their eyes, so at that point I'm just let's make it respectable. But then Mike Collins and Alex Police and the kids just kind of got together and pulled the whole thing out. That was special. It was special because it was a state championship, and it's special because it was against Darien.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, actually, because I have a picture of Jarrett. After you took the lead 21-20, he was actually the one who came down and made the tackle on the kickoff. So so we have pictures in the basement. But for those, I know Rob knows this, but the Bedford Hills guy might not. Michael Collins is now he's transferred and he's playing at Rice this year. What have you heard from Michael?
Yeah. I've heard from Michael. I don't know. I think they only had 1 or 2 days or 3 days of spring practice. So I think it's too early to say. He felt very, very good about, where he was and new offense that he'd have to learn. But there's another tremendous kid, hard worker, if he can. He's just been plagued with bad luck. The offensive coordinator, Sonny Cumby, when they were asking him, the Rice coaches were asking him about it, he says, the worst I can say, the worst thing I could say is he has bad luck, because he did start 5 games as a junior, I think in 2018. Yeah. Got injured, and then when he got his chance again against Oklahoma State, he got hurt again, and it ended the season. So had he stayed healthy, I think that he could have had a great career there. But the quarterbacks, as Terry can tell you better than anybody, you can only play with one. So and depending upon the system and the coaches and everything else. But I think Michael's done really well for himself. Another great kid, another just outstanding individual.
No doubt.
And by the way, Mark, I'll jump in on talking about Lou for a moment. All the success in Connecticut. He's a New York native, and he coached in New York for a while as well.
I have his bio. He's a Westchester guy at some point.
That's right. That's right. I've talked to, and I'm a New York guy, so I've talked to plenty of New York people. They go, "Oh, we know Lou." So you were at Yorktown for a while, Lou. I'm in Mayapack, so I'm right up the road from there.
Right. Yeah. That was a kind of a rivalry as well. Not as much as Panis, Yorktown and Panis, but yeah, we played. Jerry Keevens was the coach back then.
Yeah.
The kids that we coached there were just tremendous, fantastic kids, and tough, and it's just a really athletic school, great school. Actually,
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Just to get Mark, Vinny Ivino was the coach at Fox Lane back then. And he was the one that convinced me to go to New Canaan.
See? Thanks, Coach Lou. I really appreciate that, because finally I'm in the show. I was waiting all night for getting I was going to charge Hanratty some money because I hadn't been in the show enough. So, Terry, I have a quick question for you, and well, for the group. NFL draft, you're a quarterback, used to be a quarterback. What about, is Joe going to make it in Cincinnati? Is Burrow is that a good pick? What do you think?
I was leery of the kid till I saw him play. And I think he is really special. He has a great delivery. He's big. He's a tough kid, and he's fast. And it looks like he can pick things up, quite well. And it's going to be, any quarterback, that's the toughest transition you have to make. But he's got every other thing. And the way he handled himself at the Heisman, the way he handles himself, the only thing, with the cigar after the game, that's a little strange. But, times have changed. But I think he's got all the works to be a real good one. I mean, it's obviously time's going to tell, and he has a lot of weapons in Cincinnati. I mean, the only good part about going to Cincinnati now is that the coaching changes that they've made, because they under the other guy they haven't made a playoffs in about 20 years. But now I think they got a young guy in there, and I think he's going to turn things around. And it looks like they're just going to hand the reins off to him and just let him make his mistakes and grow from there.
Oh, and what about another question then would be Tua in Miami? Injuries problem or no?
I was never a big Tua fan even before he got hurt. I mean, everybody's going. You have to be a little leery about the Miami or the Alabamas of the world, because they have so much talent around them. The quarterback has so much talent around him, where he's basically all his throws are pretty much put up in the air, and these guys went and got it. I want to see some different throws from him. So I was not real excited about him in the draft. But who knows? I'm probably wrong.
All right, my last quarterback question, and this is the controversial one. So the move the Packers made, picking up their back Jordan. And is Rodgers angry? Is it a good move? Is it a team move to back him up? What are your thoughts on that?
Jordan Love. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I hope Rodgers is not upset. They're not replacing him. I think Rodgers is a great quarterback. I think he has 2 or 3 more really great productive years ahead of him. And it's something that most teams should do and look to the future. I mean, you've got to find maybe this kid is not the future. Who knows? But they're not gonna take any snaps away from Rodgers because this kid is with them. And it's just you just have to get someone and plug him in. I mean, don't you think New England would like to have Garoppolo back? They got rid of him. I mean, they drafted him, they thought, early. And Brady stayed around a little longer than the Pats thought. But they thought Garoppolo was their quarterback of the future. And you can't pay 2 quarterbacks. So, and Brady was still healthy. So, it's a tough call, but you got to make it sooner or later.
Agreed.
Zach, what's the best way for people to follow you if they're interested in? Is it Twitter, Instagram? How should they follow you as a fan of the Cardinals, or you're a fan of Zach?
Yeah, just Instagram and Twitter. Just search my name, it'll come up. But yeah, pretty active on both. But yeah.
For Lou and I, you put in a carrier pigeon.
A lot of fun tonight, you guys. A lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Hope you all join us again.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks for joining us.
Right.
Zach, best of luck to you, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
We're in touch.
Take care, Lou.
Take care. Thanks.
Great fun with these guys tonight. Terry Hanratty, Lou Marinelli, Zack Allen. I love this one. This is a favorite for me, you guys.
Me as well.
Well, bring a little Connecticut football over to the show tonight, right?
I'm happy about that. I'm a New Canaan fan now.
There you go.
Not just Connecticut, Rob. New Canaan football. There's a difference.
We will see you next week here on the Clubhouse. We'll be back then. I'll be back on doubleheader tomorrow. But and thanks to Bob Small, as always, for producing it. So glad to have Terry Hanratty on, Zack Allen, Lou Marinelli. We'll see you next week. Make sure to check us out. Make sure to keep listening. For Mark Jeffers, Dave Toromio, I'm Rob Adams. Stay safe as always, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening to the Clubhouse. 1490, 1055, and WGCH.com anywhere. From our homes, once again, good night, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Usually Mark buys us pizza and beer right now, so we'll have to owe you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Zach, you got it's coming your way, Zach.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Hang in there, Zach. Take care.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
take
Yeah,
care.
anytime. All right. I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
The other guys
I can't hear Bob, no. It's funny. I could hear it.